Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well, staying safe, and getting ready for what's shaping up to be a very active and impactful weather week across much of the United States. We've got not one, but two major winter storms on the way, and these are going to bring significant snowfall, icy conditions, and hazardous travel across a huge portion of the country. Whether you're in the southern plains, the Gulf Coast, the southeast, or the northeast, chances are you're going to feel the effects of these storms over the next several days. So today I'm breaking it all down for you, what's happening, where it's happening, and what you need to do to prepare. Let's start with what's already in motion today. Right now, we're seeing a lot of moisture streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico. This is feeding into the southeastern United States, bringing widespread showers and thunderstorms to areas like central and northern Florida. Now, most of these storms are just going to bring heavy rain, but we do have a setup where a few isolated tornadoes could develop. Why? Well, there's some wind shear in the atmosphere, a little twist that could help storms rotate. So if you're in Florida tonight or early tomorrow morning, stay weather aware. Make sure you have a way to get alerts because even one tornado can cause a lot of trouble. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, we've got a separate system that's already producing some light snow across parts of northern New England. At this point, it's nothing too dramatic, just some typical winter weather, but don't let that fool you. The situation here is about to escalate in a big way. Starting tomorrow, we're going to see a powerful nor'easter develop off the coast, and this is going to bring heavy, wet snow to a large swath of the region. By midday tomorrow, snow will begin falling across parts of northern Virginia, eastern Pennsylvania, and northern New Jersey. As the afternoon progresses, that snow will intensify and spread northeastward into southern New England, including cities like Boston. This is going to be one of those fast-moving systems that packs a punch. The snow will be heavy and wet, which means it's going to stick to everything: roads, trees, power lines. If you live in one of these areas, prepare for widespread travel disruptions and the potential for power outages. By tomorrow evening, the snow will be coming down hard across much of New England. Some areas, especially in northern New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, and western Massachusetts, could see snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. That means conditions on the roads are going to deteriorate very quickly. If you can avoid traveling tomorrow afternoon and evening, please do. As we move into tomorrow night, the storm will start to wind down in most areas, but not before leaving some impressive snowfall totals. Right now, we're looking at widespread accumulations of 4 to 8 inches across much of the Northeast, with localized spots like parts of northeastern Pennsylvania and southern Vermont picking up as much as a foot of snow. And remember, this is wet, heavy snow, which means shoveling is going to be a workout. Take it slow, especially if you're not used to dealing with this kind of weather. But while the Northeast is digging out, another storm will already be brewing in the southern plains. The second storm is going to be a rare and impactful winter event for areas that don't typically see snow and ice. Starting late Monday night, we're expecting snow to begin falling across parts of Texas and Oklahoma. Now, for most of Oklahoma and northern Texas, we're not looking at major accumulations, just a dusting to maybe an inch in some spots. But as the storm moves southeast and interacts with moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, things are going to escalate quickly. By Tuesday morning, areas like Houston, Texas, will likely see 1 to 3 inches of snow. That might not sound like much if you're used to snowy winters, but for Houston, it's a big deal. Roads in this region aren't treated for snow and ice, and even a small accumulation can cause major travel disruptions. Further east across southern Louisiana and Mississippi, snowfall totals will be even higher. We're talking 4 to 6 inches in many areas, with some localized spots potentially picking up 8 or 9 inches. And then there's the Gulf Coast. This is where things get really unusual. Cities like New Orleans could see 3 to 5 inches of snow. Yes, you heard that right, snow in New Orleans. By Tuesday night into Wednesday, the snow and ice will spread into southern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. If you live in these areas, start preparing now. Roads will be treacherous. Schools and businesses may close, and power outages are a real possibility. Even northern Florida is in the mix for winter weather. Cities like Tallahassee and Jacksonville could see a mix of freezing rain and snow late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. If ice accumulates, it's going to make travel incredibly dangerous, especially since these areas aren't equipped to handle winter weather. Schools in northern Florida could close. So keep that in mind as you make plans for the week. By Wednesday morning, the storm will move into the Carolinas, bringing snow and ice to places like Charlotte, Raleigh, and even the Outer Banks. Snowfall totals in these areas could range from 3 to 6 inches, with higher amounts possible in localized spots. From there, the storm will track up the East Coast, potentially bringing more snow to parts of Virginia, Maryland, and the Mid-Atlantic. Now, let's talk totals. Along the Gulf Coast, places like Houston can expect 1 to 3 inches of snow, while southern Louisiana and Mississippi are looking at 4 to 6 inches, with some spots nearing 8 or 9 inches. In the southeast parts of Georgia, Alabama, and the Carolinas could see 3 to 6 inches, with higher totals in the northern parts of the states. Northern Florida will see a sharp dividing line between snow, ice, and rain, but cities like Tallahassee could see up to 2 inches of snow. In the Northeast, the first storm will leave widespread totals of 4 to 8 inches, with localized spots picking up 10 to 12 inches. Areas closer to the coast, like Cape Cod, may see some freezing rain mixed in, which could make travel even more hazardous. We've got a snowstorm that's about to hit the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, so let's talk about what's coming your way. As we move through today, Saturday, January 18th, we're going to see off and on snow showers that are going to impact a wide area. If you're in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, or upstate New York, be prepared for some snow accumulation. It's going to be one of those off and on scenarios where the snow won't be constant, but it will accumulate over time, especially where we see lake-enhanced snow. If you're near the Great Lakes, such as Buffalo, you're likely going to see some decent snowfall totals because of this. In addition to the snow in the north, we've also got a big area of rain developing down in the south. The panhandle of Florida, southern Alabama, and Georgia are all going to get hit with some pretty heavy rain, and there's a marginal risk of severe weather today. We're not talking about widespread severe storms, but there is the possibility of isolated strong storms. Keep an eye on weather alerts and warnings throughout the day. Things could change quickly, especially if you're in these southern areas. Fortunately, it doesn't look like anything too intense right now, but you still need to be weather aware as we go through the day. So we've got snow in the northeast and rain in the south today, but the real action is going to happen as the weekend moves on. Once that blob of rain moves off the East Coast, we're going to see an Arctic blast begin to move down from Canada. This Arctic air is going to collide with some leftover moisture and energy, and that's going to set the stage for our next major winter storm. This is where things get really interesting. By Sunday morning, we're going to see snow showers begin to push into places like Little Rock, Arkansas, and by the time we hit Sunday afternoon, the snow is going to intensify. Areas like Memphis, Nashville, and Lexington, Kentucky will start to see heavier snow. And although it won't be a widespread snowstorm at first, it will start to fill in over time. By Sunday evening, the snow is going to spread into the Mid-Atlantic, and heavy snow will be falling in places like Pittsburgh, Charleston, West Virginia, and Washington, D.C. by 10 a.m. On Sunday, it will already be snowing heavily in these areas, and the snow will just be getting started in cities like New York City and Philadelphia. Now, as we move into Sunday afternoon and evening, the snow is going to spread up the I-95 corridor, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and even Boston will start to see snow around 3 p.m. on Sunday. The tricky part is that the storm is going to bring a mix of rain and snow along the immediate coast. So there will be some places where it's hard to predict whether you're going to get more rain or snow. The transition zone is going to be tight, and that's where we could see some travel problems with a rain-snow mix. Still, places like Washington, D.C. and Baltimore will get hit with heavy snow, and areas like New York City and Philadelphia could end up with some significant snowfall totals. Now, if you're in the inland areas, that's where we're really going to see the snow totals pile up. Expect anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow across the Mid-Atlantic and into parts of the Northeast. Places like Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City will see the lower end of that range due to the rain-snow mix. But as we move further inland, we're looking at higher totals. Cities like Boston, northern New Jersey, and parts of Pennsylvania are going to pick up a good 4 to 8 inches of snow. And in places like central and western Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, we could see 6, 7, or even 8 inches of snow in some locations. The key thing to keep in mind with this storm is that the snow is going to be very heavy. This isn't the kind of snow that falls lightly and slowly over days. It's going to come down quickly, which means it could cause some travel disruptions, especially in the Northeast. If you're in New York City, eastern Pennsylvania, or parts of Massachusetts, travel could get really tricky, and we may see delays at airports as well. But the snow is just the beginning. The real danger comes from the Arctic blast that's going to follow right after the storm. Once this snowstorm moves out, we're going to see one of the coldest air masses we've seen in years take over the United States. By Wednesday, we're looking at temperatures that could plunge as low as That's 3 degrees in parts of Ohio and even colder in places like New England and the Northeast. Cities like Pittsburgh, Boston, and New York City are going to see lows near or below zero. And places like Vermont and New Hampshire are going to be dealing with temperatures as low as 10 degrees. The coldest of the cold is going to be up in the northern plains, where places like North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota could see temperatures drop into the negative 20s. The wind chill is going to make it feel even colder. So if you're in those areas, be prepared for some serious bone-chilling cold. Okay, so we've covered the Northeast and the brutal cold, but now let's talk about the Souths, because this is where things are about to get really interesting. As that Arctic air moves down from Canada, it's going to collide with the warm Gulf moisture, and when those two air masses meet, we're going to see a major winter storm develop. This storm is going to hit the South, and it's likely going to bring snow and freezing rain to places we just don't see it often. Southeastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, these are areas that are not built for snow or ice. So if this storm develops as expected, it's going to cause major disruptions. By Tuesday, we're looking at the possibility of snow in Houston and Dallas, and as the storm strengthens, we'll see more snow and freezing rain spreading eastward. This is a big deal, especially for areas like Mobile, Alabama, and New Orleans, which could see snow on Tuesday night. Yes, New Orleans, believe it or not, it's very possible. The storm is going to bring freezing rain and snow all the way down to the Gulf Coast, and even areas like Tampa, Florida could see some light snow or freezing rain. But the biggest threat is going to be the ice. Wherever the storm sets up with freezing rain, we're going to see dangerous conditions. Ice is going to accumulate on trees, power lines, and roads, and that could lead to power outages and dangerous travel conditions. Areas like Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama could see several inches of snow or ice, and that's going to cause major problems. As of right now, the forecast shows that parts of South Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas are at high risk for significant snow and ice accumulation. If you're in these areas, it's time to prepare. You're going to want to have backup power in place and make sure you have plenty of food and water in case the power goes out. And if you live in a place where snow and ice are rare, it's important to understand that this is a big deal. These areas just don't have the equipment or the infrastructure to deal with this kind of weather. So if the storm develops as we expect, there could be major travel disruptions and extended power outages. So what do you need to do? First and foremost, get prepared now, stock up on essentials, make sure your vehicle is ready for winter driving, and if you don't have a generator, consider getting one. And remember, this storm is still a few days out, so it's important to keep checking the forecast as things evolve. But as of now, we're looking at a very real possibility of a major winter storm for the South, and it could be something we haven't seen in decades. All right, that's all I have for you today. Keep an eye on the weather, stay safe, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can stay up to date with all the latest developments. I'll be back tomorrow with another video, and depending on how things look. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.